Today, we're going to peel back the curtain on a hidden conflict, a silent war that's being fought every single day in fields all across the globe, and it's a battle that directly impacts the food that ends up on our plates. So let's just dive right in. Look, this isn't just some abstract farming thing. This is a high-stakes, evolutionary arms race. It's our crops versus the diseases that are constantly trying to wipe them out. And the big question is, how do we give our food the right kind of armor to actually win this fight? At its very heart, what we're really talking about here is evolution. You see, plants develop defenses, and then the pathogens, we're talking fungi, viruses, you name it, they evolve ways to get right around those defenses. It's this relentless back and forth that's been going on for, well, millennia. And then, back in 1963, this plant pathologist, J.E. van der Planck, comes along and just completely changes the game. He gave us this revolutionary new framework. He didn't just see defense. No, he saw strategy. He was the one who identified two fundamentally different ways that plants protect themselves. And honestly, it changed everything for plant breeders.
Okay, so let's break down these two kinds of armor. It's probably best to think of them as two totally different competing defense philosophies. One is all about building this one single impenetrable fortress. The other, it's more about defense in depth, a whole series of smaller obstacles.
First up, we've got what's called vertical resistance. This is the fortress wall. It's usually controlled by a single, really powerful gene that gives a plant complete immunity to specific races of a pathogen. It's an all-or-nothing defense. It's perfect. But, and this is a huge but, it has one single point of failure.
On the flip side, you have horizontal resistance, and this is not one giant wall, it's a whole defense system. Imagine lower walls, moats, traps, all working together. This is controlled by many genes, with each one just adding a small piece to the puzzle. It doesn't stop the enemy cold, but man, it slows them down at every single turn.
So this table really lays it all out, side by side. Vertical resistance, it's a single gene deal, giving you that all-or-nothing defense against very specific enemies. That makes it pretty easy to breed for. Horizontal resistance, though, is a multi-gene, partial defense against all enemies, but it's way, way harder to work with. So right there, that's the crucial trade-off. You've got power and simplicity versus breadth and, importantly, durability.
And that brings us to maybe the most important question of all, durability. Right? Which one of these strategies actually lasts out in the real world, where the enemy is constantly changing its attack plan? And this is where we see the tragic flaw of that single fortress wall. It's the infamous boom and bust cycle. A new miracle crop gets released, that's the boom. Everybody plants it, creating this massive uniform target. Then the pathogen evolves the one key to that one single lock, and boom, the defense is useless. Widespread failure, the bust.
So why does this happen, and why so fast? Well, it's because pathogens are incredibly adaptable. As the source material says, they have tremendous pathogenic plasticity. When you bet everything on a single gene, you're essentially daring the pathogen to find a single workaround. And with billions of chances, it almost always does.
But horizontal resistance, it's playing a totally different game. It is durable. And the reason is simple. A pathogen can't just find one key. To get past this, it would need to evolve dozens of different keys for dozens of different locks, all at the exact same time. The odds of that happening are just astronomically low. It slows the pathogen's evolution way, way down.
Which of course raises a pretty big question. If vertical resistance is so fragile, why have we relied on it so much? Well, it all comes down to a classic dilemma for plant breeders. It's a choice between speed and stamina.
I mean, you can see why vertical resistance is so tempting for a breeder. It's controlled by a single gene, which is super easy to track and move into new plants. It gives you complete immunity, which looks absolutely fantastic in the field. It's a fast, clean, powerful solution. For a little while, anyway. And then you have horizontal resistance, which is just the polar opposite. Its main superpower is that incredible durability. But breeding for it, it's a slog. You're trying to juggle dozens of tiny genes, which is slow, it's difficult, and it takes these complex field trials over many, many years. And in the end, you only get partial resistance, not that perfect immunity.
So for decades, it really felt like an either-or situation. You had to pick your poison. But now, modern breeders are realizing, hey, why do we have to choose? We can actually get the best of both worlds.
Today, the smartest strategy is all about combination. Breeders can do something called pyramiding, where they stack several of those fortress wall genes together, forcing the pathogen to find multiple keys at once. Or even better, They can add those powerful genes to a plant that already has a strong background of horizontal resistance. It's like putting sharpshooters and guard towers on top of a castle that already has moats and high walls.
And this isn't just a theory. There was a long-term project focusing on horizontal resistance in Mexican black beans, and they managed to triple the yields 3 times. And get this, they did it without needing a single drop of pesticide. This just shows you the incredible real-world potential of building durable, long-term defenses.
So in the end, it all comes down to this. In this constant war for our food supply, the temptation for the quick fix, for that silver bullet, is always going to be there. But the evidence really suggests that real security doesn't come from a single perfect wall. It comes from building a resilient, layered defense that is actually designed to last. The choice we make really will define the future of agriculture.